Hi, everyone. Real estate agents. This is Craig Proctor. Today, we're going to talk about your favorite topic, how to sell more houses, make more money, have more time in your life, which ultimately leads to freedom. That's why you got into real estate, right? You want more freedom. Today, we're going to talk about talk with an expert on the subject. One of my favorite students, Mark Jensen. He's in the Oakville, Burlington area. Mark, welcome to the Craig Proctor Real Estate Show.
Thank you, Craig, for having me.
Now, there is a dress code. You probably noticed. Mark got the memo. We're only wearing black here today, so because this is a serious topic here. Mark, let's start off with how did you meet me? What were you like doing in real estate before you met me, and how has that changed over the last little bit?
Yeah, I can start. So I've had a corporate background. Worked for several different industries, but it was always in management leadership roles. And in 2011, I decided to make a career change. So I had two older children, a young baby that just was born, and realized that my two older kids, I had spent almost no time with them. So I wanted something where I could have some time, some free time, and still be able to make money. So I went with the 80-20 rule. What career could I be earning 80%, be in the top 20, earning the 80% of money?
Well, we all know.
We all know.
Go golfing and make lots of money. We know real estate is easy, right? So you left the corporate world. You thought, I'll get into real estate. How hard can this be? Open the doors, show the houses. People are throwing money at you. And what did you discover when you got into real estate?
So yeah, in 2011, I started and had all these great aspirations, got my license in record time, obviously went with the big balloon. I thought, okay, RE/MAX, they're going to help me a lot. So started up. I remember my first couple days in the air, it's like, okay, I'm ready to go. So what am I doing? And there was a little room in the back with 4 or 5 or 6 cubicles. And they said, just start calling people.
So that was your training in real estate. They took you to the office, the dark office in the back corner, and they said, here's Mark. This is the telephone. This is Mark. Start calling. That was your training. That's pretty typical. Okay, so obviously that was a little bit of an eye opener, I assume. Coming from the corporate world, you're getting a guaranteed check, his salary. You've got set hours. Now you come into real estate. There's none of that. And so what did you do for that first little bit as you're trying to figure this out?
Well, I've always had a strong work ethic. So literally I was working around the clock. I was calling, I was doing door knocking and taking anybody's open house that I could get. And I was really good at open houses. I started getting business and things started to develop, put myself out there. My kids' hockey teams and soccer teams, and started to get some referrals and started to build a business, and things were going well, but it was the exact real estate roller coaster that everybody talks about. I had great years and then no checks coming in for 4 or 5 months.
So look at the irony. Look at the irony in that, Mark. You got into real estate because you, in your previous career, you'd sacrifice so much time every day and every week away from your family. And you noticed your kids are, we don't see ourselves getting older, right? But we look at our kids, we're like, well, I guess I must be getting old because they're getting older. So that's why you got into real estate. You wanted to have the success, but you wanted to have more time. And what happened was you're a worker. You're a smart guy. You're a worker. So you looked around at what all the other agents were doing, open houses, prospecting, door knocking, and you started working and you realized doing it the traditional way to be successful, you got to work harder and harder. So here you are basically in the same boat where you're working the same amount of hours or possibly even more hours than your last career. So what was your family thinking at this point, right? You're like, I'm going to get into real estate so I can spend more time with the kids.
Yeah, they didn't think it was the best decision in the world for sure.
Oh, so what point did you think, something's needed to change? Like this lasts for what, a year or two where you're slugging it out doing the traditional things?
Well, I wish I was smarter than that, but it was a good well, almost 9 years. So yeah, 2019 was a terrible year for me. 2018 was a great year. 2019, like things weren't going well at all.
Let's talk about 2019.
Up.
So this is before the pandemic. What happened in 2019?
So what I realized was open houses weren't as successful. Everybody that came in seemed to have a realtor already. My sphere, nobody seemed to be moving. Used to always get one deal from a hockey team or a soccer team. And then as the years went by, it was like, okay, well, there's more and more realtors out there. Now everybody on the team knows one. And then the next thing I know, I'm not the only realtor on the team. There's even more than one. So that saturation sort of took up that business. And you know, I wasn't great in marketing. My wife certainly helped me. She was had a marketing degree, but she had a full-time job as well. And then someone in my office said, look, I'm going to this conference for this guy called Craig Proctor. I hadn't heard of you. He said, come out, just let's listen. So yeah, in the summer of 2019, I went to one of your conferences in Toronto. I loved what I heard. I thought, wow, this is a completely different viewpoint of how to be a realtor. And I just, okay, I'm in, but not 100% in yet, right? So I started learning it. I didn't join. My friend was already a member. So I was sort of over the shoulder of him trying to figure out stuff. And
what were your thoughts at that time? Because I'm always interested. So you liked it, and your friend that brought you to the conference was a Craig Proctor coaching member. So even though you liked it, what do you feel was holding you back from you joining up as well?
You know, it's always, is it too good to be true? You have your own paradigm. You think, you know, this is a radically different way of operating. This isn't how everybody else is doing it. You know, I just needed to get rid
which
of
ironically,
roadblocks in my head.
Ironically, that's all the things you like about it, right?
Yeah.
Like what you just said is no one else is doing it this way. This is a radically different approach to selling real estate, which is what you love about this. You know, it's funny, you know, when we talk about paradigms, because I've been doing this now for 30 years, and I have real estate agents come to me quite often that say they really want to change their income. They really want to change their lifestyle. You know, they want to make more money. They want to work less. They see these other Craig Proctor agents making millions of dollars a year, but they don't really want to change, right? So, everyone wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die, right? So, you know, it's kind of funny that we all want to do better, but we're reluctant to change. So, how did you overcome that? How did you liked it, but my approach is so radically different than what every other realtor does. What finally made you say, okay, I'm all in?
So I was getting there, but I booked Anaheim. So that was in November of 2019, went to the Anaheim conference. And of course, hearing it, a lot of the stuff the second time was completely different than the first time. And I remember Todd was up on the stage and talking about nibbling around the edges. And if I'm in, I'm all in. That's the way I've always worked, right? So I just said, I remember I got up in the middle of the conference and went to the back and spoke to your wife and said, I want to join Platinum today. I didn't want to go, I skipped coaching. I want to go straight to Platinum.
The platinum level, just so everyone knows, are for people that, you know, have a team. And typically, I think the average income inside of platinum is around $750,000. So you wanted to hang around with agents that were making millions of dollars a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And, so you did it. So let's talk about what happens next. Okay. So that's the backstory. Sometimes we do these calls, we just get right into, okay, tell us, you know, how well things are going. But I think it's important for everyone watching this to hear the backstory. Okay, corporate background, got into real estate, did the same crap everyone else does in real estate. That's what we do. We look around everyone else, get frustrated, realize real estate's no better than my corporate job. In fact, you're probably thinking at this point, this is even worse, right? Now I'm working all the time. Okay, so you come to a Toronto event, you hear it a second time in Anaheim, you're all in, you join Platinum. Okay. Everyone wants to know what happens now.
Right. So I'm starting implementing, I'm getting things going. I have a nice checklist, which I love. These are the things I need to implement. And then COVID hits March.
Perfect.
And oh my goodness. So I remember sitting and I talked to my wife and I said, like, we have a choice right now. What else is there to do? I'm going to work from the time I get up until the time I go to bed. Everybody else out there is talking about, all these realtors are saying, what should I do? I don't know what to do. We'll have Zoom wine tasting, or what's on Netflix. And I just said, no, I'm going to go full steam ahead into my business. We started to double our ad spend. We doubled our postcards. We were nobody was in our mailbox. So I'm thinking this is the perfect opportunity. And it changed everything. That we started getting leads in, and it's all about the overflow, which is what you said. So by May, I had so many leads coming in, I couldn't even call them anymore. So I had to hire an ISA.
Now, if you remember, when you came to my first conference in Toronto, do you remember me saying that? I want to get you in the position, I said it to the entire audience, that I want to, when you join up with Craig Proctor, my goal is to help you have so many buyers and sellers chasing you, never a cold call necessary again, that you have the luxury of choice. So finally, this starts to kick in. And first of all, it feels pretty good never to have to cold call or door knock or ask the parents at your kids' hockey game for referrals anymore. So in the beginning, when you've got this massive overflow business coming in, there's only you at this point, or do you have any team members?
It was just me. But at that time as well, my wife's company closed down and her job got outsourced. So I said to her, this is a perfect opportunity. You have a marketing background. This business is all about marketing. I need you to help me, and let's do this together. And so we became this team of her doing the marketing, and our ads were getting better. We were getting great results. So yes, I had to hire my first ISA. And then what happens with that is the same thing again. Now she's doing such a great job. She's booking me 5 appointments a day.
Wow.
Well, how can I sell and have 5 appointments a day on top of everything else? So it was really getting to be, again, I needed to say, okay, now's the time to start a team. So at the same time, my oldest daughter was working she was an event planner, and of course that closed down. So I said to her, go get your real estate license now. So I had hired another OSA, and then she came on. She was my second OSA, and then it's just developed from there.
Well, that's what's pretty cool about this. A lot of our members, expand and are able to provide opportunities for their spouses and their family and their nieces and nephews. So that's cool. So everybody's losing their job during COVID, and you're expanding. You doubled down. A lot of realtors are doing that. Right now as interest rates go up and the housing market is slowing. We predict anywhere from 25 to 30% of the realtors will not renew their license. They'll get out of the business because, like you, like you were doing, they're relying on sphere of influence, people they know. And during the last few years, while money was running down the street and the government was literally paying people to stay at home, a real estate agent could make an okay living just with people they knew, friends of friends. Today, that has changed significantly. Today, if you want to be successful as a real estate agent, you need to learn how to do business with strangers. So here you are now, perfectly equipped. You've recruited your wife, You've recruited your daughter. No pressure on you, Mark, at this point, because now the whole family is relying on you. Okay, so you kept getting better and better at the marketing of it. Now your wife understands marketing, and so what happens at this point now once you've got a bit of help behind you?
So this introduction to your home sold guaranteed realty brokerages came out, and again, why didn't I jump on right away? It's the whole paradigm thing. So in my mind, that's for somebody way down the road. They need to be much bigger. And the more I heard about it, and the more I listened to it, it was, when are you going to be ready? If you have to wait till you're ready, it might never happen. So it was the same thing. My wife and I had a discussion about it, and she had never been to even a Craig Proctor event at this time. She saw some of the virtual conferences, but finally we both agreed, and we said, okay, let's open a brokerage. So we made that commitment in September of last year, and put a 3-month timeline to
get it open,
have everything up and ready. And so I didn't even have my broker's license at this point.
Right.
So it was, okay, how quick can I get my broker's license, keep the business running, sell some homes in between, and open a brokerage. And you know what? When you have a goal and you set it in a timeline, it's amazing the stuff that will happen.
The timeline's the key. Lots of people have goals without a timeline. Right. And a goal without a timeline is basically just a wish. Okay, for those watching, you may not know or understand what we're talking about with the brokerage. You see over Mark's right shoulder, you see the logo, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, Modern Brokerage, the Jensen team. So that is Mark's company. Now, Mark was a RE/MAX agent. He flew the balloon, and Mark, his initial plan, like most real estate agents, is you work at RE/MAX or whatever company you're with, Century 21, Keller Williams, EXP. You work at your brokerage for 10 or 15 or 20 years, and you keep working until you can't work anymore. And at the end of the day, you have nothing to sell. You haven't built any equity in anything. You might have built equity for RE/MAX or Keller Williams or whatever, but you didn't build equity. And that's kind of how it rolls. That's why we have a lot of 80-year-old real estate agents walking around out there, because they've never made enough money to put anything away from retirement. And so they just keep working until they can't. So we ask real estate agents, what do you see in your future? Are you going to be the typical realtor that works for a brand, a franchise, and you're going to work there forever, and you're building all this goodwill with your clients over the next 5 or 10 or 15 years? But what's the end game? What's the end plan? And it's funny though, Mark, most real estate agents don't think about that. They're like, well, they just accept it for what it is. Well, I guess I work until I get tired of working, and that's the end of it. They're working to build someone else's brand. So I've been doing this for 30 years. And for the first 5 years, Mark, I just did seminars, right? That's what I thought. I thought my business was, well, I teach agents what I do, and I do seminars. And then agents that would attend the seminars would say, well, I'd really like coaching. So we started doing coaching. And then we had agents building teams. So we created the platinum level of coaching. That's the level that you jumped into. This is team coaching. And then we created our titanium level. These were agents that were making on average over $3 million in GCI. And then we had a lot of our large teams starting their own independent companies. Now, as you may or may not know, what I really do is I license intellectual property. People say I'm a real estate coach, and there's a lot of confusion about coaching. I still call myself a real estate coach just because it's a term that real estate agents are familiar with. But the truth is, when most agents think of coaching, they think of like motivation or, I'm going to make you do accountability. I'm going to motivate you, or I'm going to, Mark, have I ever called you and said, Mark, did you make your 200 cold calls today? That's not how this works, right? So what I offer real estate agents, if you're a solo agent, you get intellectual property that would help you as a solo agent create an overflow of business. Now, when that works, and the only reason it wouldn't work is if you don't implement what I teach you, but when this works as a solo agent, what happens to you is what happened to Mark, where all of a sudden he goes, oh my God, it works. I've got an overflow of business. I can't handle it all, which now would require you to grow your team or work 80 hours a week for the rest of your life. So the next step was Mark grows his team, recruits his wife, recruits his daughter, and we're going to talk about some of the other opportunities for anybody here. So don't go anywhere. Now, Mark has a choice. It's like, okay, I've got this successful team selling lots of real estate. What's the future look? I can keep flying the Remax balloon. And every time Mark is spending money in advertising, the real estate law says he's got to have the balloon there, and he's promoting the Remax balloon. And he could have done that. I was at Remax for 20 years, great company. So that's one choice he had. But then Mark started thinking, if I bought my own brokerage, if I spend the next 10 years or 15 or whatever I'm going to be doing this, and I was building my own company, it's a sellable asset. If I can build something, I can build a real estate brokerage that sells a lot of houses, and it doesn't just rely on Mark at some point. It's a real business where if Mark was in Florida on vacation, hundreds of houses are being sold and listed and buyers are being taken care of. That business entity, I could sell that. So not only would Mark have the income, the big income that he's making every year for the next 5, 10, 15 years, but at the end of the day, he's got a choice. He could just retire, but if he had something he could sell. Now, real estate agents, I want you to think about this. Could you sell what you have? You can't, right? You can't sell door knocking. It's like I'm a typical realtor. Okay, I'm going to retire. Mark, would you like to buy what I have? Here's what I do. I go door knocking 40 hours a week. I'm going to sell you my client list. I'm going to call Mary, my past client right now, and I'm going to tell Mary that I've sold Mary to Mark. It doesn't work, right? So this is why we created this level. So at Craig Proctor Coaching, we now license entire real estate brokerages. So if you want to be a solo agent, I have stuff for you. You want to grow your team, I have a system for that. If you want to grow an entire real estate brokerage where Mark and all of his people in his office, all his agents are licensed to use the Craig Proctor intellectual property, that's the step that Mark is taking. Okay, now, here's what I want to talk about next. There is no question that Mark is your guy if you're in Oakville and Burlington. And what other areas do you cover there? Mostly Oakville and Burlington?
Oakville, Burlington, Mississauga, Milton, a little bit into Hamilton.
Okay, so here's how I want to lay this out. If you're in those areas, okay, this is just to the west of the Greater Toronto area. Okay, if you're in the west part of the Greater Toronto area, and you're interested in making more money and working less, don't call me. I want you to call Mark. Now, if you're not in the Toronto area in the western part where Mark works, you are going to call me, and we're going to have a free call. Okay, you're going to go to proctorcall.com. So proctorcall.com. We're going to have a conversation about where you are now and how you can do, if you wish, what Mark is doing. But if you're in the Oakville, Burlington area, okay, just to the west of Toronto, you're going to contact Mark. Now, we're going to have Mark's contact information below the video here. Okay, maybe just give us what would be the best way to reach you right now on video? Phone number.
Well, I'll give you my website. You can go to markjensen.ca. There is a page specific for OSAs, and you can call me direct, of course, at 416-721-8002.
Now, of course, nobody's going to do that right now because you don't understand the benefit of calling Mark or the benefit of calling me. So we kind of did this ass backwards because you're supposed to talk about why you should contact Mark before the number. But anyway, here's how this works. This is the best if you're in the west part of Toronto, this is the best opportunity you're ever going to get in real estate, because here's how this deal works. Mark is invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in Craig Proctor marketing and training. Okay. He has a business, and that business provides an opportunity for you as a real estate agent that you will not find at any other brokerage. Here's how this deal works. When you partner up with Mark, you're not working from, you're partnering up with him, okay? He is going to provide you not just leads. In fact, you're not going to get any leads. You're going to get actual appointments. So this abundance of leads comes in. Too many leads for Mark and his team to work with. That's why he needs to be recruiting. The leads that come in go to the highly trained ISAs, inside sales agents. Inside sales agents do not run around with buyers or sellers. Their position is to call the leads that have come into Mark's office. Now, let's be clear about this. Some of you might be interested actually in being an inside sales agent where you get a guaranteed salary plus a commission and you work a set 40-hour work week. So for some real estate agents, they like the inside sales part of it because I don't have to, like I can talk to a buyer or seller on the phone for 3 or 4 minutes and I'm done with it and I pass the appointment on to the outside sales agents. So we have a team of inside sales agents that are handling the call-ins. Okay, these are not cold calls. 1,000% of Mark's business are buyers and sellers contacting him. Those leads will go to the inside sales agents. The inside sales agents are going to qualify the buyers and sellers and only book listing and appointments and buyer appointments if the buyer and seller are motivated and qualified. Okay, they're going to list their house and they're going to be realistic on price. Now, for you outside sales agents, an outside sales agent is just a regular agent. You're like working by yourself at Royal LePage or Remax or wherever you are. Here's what Mark does. He says, you open up your day timer. You tell me when you're available. And me, Mark Jensen, my job is I'm going to fill your day timer. I'm going to fill your day timer with buyers that want to buy and sellers that want to sell. So you got a little flexibility when you team up with Mark because let's say Thursday nights, I don't know, Thursday nights you play hockey or Saturdays mornings you want to spend it with your kids, whatever. You book out your personal time, but if your calendar is open, Mark's objective is to fill it. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so that's good. I don't have to call any leads. I'm getting set appointments on my day timer, but it gets better than that. You know how Mark has spent years being coached and trained by me? First of all, I showed Mark how to be really, really good at all this, right? Guess what's going to happen now? Mark is going to spend an enormous amount of time with you, coaching you what I taught him. Why would Mark do that? Because the better trained you are, the more time Mark spends coaching you and training you on the listing presentation, the buyer presentation, the more money Mark makes, right? The more money you make, the more money Mark makes. Now, here's the thing. There will be more real estate agents in the Greater Toronto area that want to do this with Mark than the positions available. So don't sit there thinking about this or whatever, it'll be too late. You need to pick up the phone and have a conversation with Mark. What's the downside, by the way? What would be the worst thing to happen? You talk to Mark, you didn't like him, you think the opportunity sucks, and you keep door knocking or cold calling or pestering your friends for referrals. That's an option. You could keep doing that, right? You could turn your back on this. You could be totally skeptical about this, but I'm promising you, you are costing your family hundreds of thousands of dollars if you don't at least be open-minded. Why do we always focus on the worst thing that could happen, by the way? Why don't we ever focus on what's the best thing that could happen? What if this is real? What if you call Mark and he's just a nice guy, like he presents himself here, and he says, like, hey, my issue here is we're really good at marketing. We use the Craig Proctor system, and we can't even work with all the sellers and all the buyers. Would you like to partake? Would you like to partner up? We'll give you listing appointments. We can't do them all. We'll give you buyers that are willing to meet with us, sign an exclusive buyer agency agreement, and I hope you make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars because I get half of it. Right? Now you're like, oh, I got to give some to Mark. Well, of course you do. But if the part that you get to keep is bigger than the part that you're making right now, and it's easier, why wouldn't you be open to that? Here's what I want every realtor that's watching this right now, just do the mental calculation. Okay, what do you gross? Is it gross? What do you gross? Is it gross? What is your GCI? Now, let's not BS ourselves here. Let's say a realtor, you're at Remax, you're at Royal LePage or whatever, you're at Century 21, and you say, well, I'm already doing good. I don't need Mark. I don't need Craig. I'm already making $100,000 a year. Really? You're making 100 grand a year? Let's take off all your desk fees, all your marketing, all the money that you spend taking pictures, putting up signs, getting key cut. Mark does all of that. Okay, this might be a bit bold. If you were a listing agent for Mark, you literally are not doing anything except for listing houses. Okay, so you list the house. Mark's team, all you have to do is send the listing in. Mark's team will broker load it. They'll process it. Someone will go out, take a picture of the house, get the key cut, install the key box, make the feature sheets, call the seller, onboard them. What do you got, an hour into that? You took an hour, you drove over, you listed the house, and everything is done for you. The money you make with Mark, you keep in your pocket. That's not true at any other brokerage. I want you again to do the mental calculation. What do you gross right now? How many hours do you work? Break down what you're worth per hour. If you're making 100 grand a year, you're spending 20 or 30 grand to make the 100. You're only really making $70,000 a year, and you're working 60, 70 hours a week. So that's the opportunity. Mark, what do you want to add to that?
A couple things that I think it's important to mention too is when you're working at a brokerage with other realtors, all those other realtors are your competition. And I've been there. You go into, and us as realtors, we're social beings. We want to talk and hang out and, have fun. Christmas parties are always great. But in the office, nobody wants to share what each other's doing. They're hiding their marketing material. This is a completely different atmosphere. We all work together. Nobody is stealing each other's business because we're giving it all to you. You work on your sphere, that's yours, and everything else will give you. So now, if I need to go on vacation, I can ask one of the other realtors to help me out, or vice versa, or I'm having troubles with it. So we share and help and develop each other. And it's just a completely different atmosphere than any other brokerage that's out there.
Yep, well said.
That's a huge, as you feel like you're part, especially if you want to feel like you're part of something, part of a team. And that's what we're creating here. And, the other thing, we have some foundations that we built this business on, and we want to make sure we're helping our team members, but helping the people that we're buying and selling for, and also help our community. So we do give back a portion of our income to Holton Women's Place. It's a shelter for abused women and children. And, that's a big part of what we do as well. We want to be a good part of our community.
So I think we've all probably all have something that's important in our lives that we'd like to help and give back to. Imagine making enough money that you satisfy your own needs, because when we first get into real estate, you're not thinking about, well, how can I help other charities or people around me? You're like, how can I help myself? I need to make some money here. So we totally get that. But imagine getting to the point where financially you've taken care of your needs, and you're able to say in your marketing to your clients, hey, any referrals you send me, I am going to donate a portion of that commission to, and then you fill in the blank. Now, I want everyone to think about, what would that be for you? If you're an animal lover, maybe it's something to do with animal shelters, right? If maybe cancer has struck your family, you might be donating to the Cancer Society or the Heart and Stroke Foundation, right? If you were in the military, maybe it's Wounded Warriors, right? It might be homeless people. So we want you to find something that is important to you, and we want to show you how to market around that. So not only are you doing well, but everyone in your world, in your community, knows that anytime they refer business to you, you're going to donate a portion of that commission to what we call your worthy cause. So that is so different than the way most agents ask or beg for referrals. basically that's positioned as a trade. You know, do you know anybody? Do you know anybody? Like, what is your referral offer, right? What is your referral offer? We teach you when is the best time to ask for referrals. What's the best referral offer to make? And when people send you referrals, I don't know, what do? Do you send them a bottle of wine? Do you give them money? Do you send them, a gift certificate for a nice dinner out at a restaurant? These are all traditional ways of thinking about this. Would it be easier for all of you to ask for referrals if your referral offer felt good to you? See, the problem is when you're asking for referrals, doing it the traditional way, you're basically saying, do you know anybody? You got anybody? I need some money. No, that's how it's perceived. It's very, it's uncomfortable. Okay, let's say it's very self-serving. So we want to show you better approaches to get referrals, but we want to show you better approaches when it comes to marketing. So how is it that Mark is able to get 100%, I said earlier, 1,000% of all of his business from strangers? These are people that don't know Mark, but why are they coming to Mark? How does that happen? How do we reverse the prospecting? We call it the Craig Proctor automatic reverse prospecting system. Here's how we do it. The secret is we offer buyers and sellers information that is really valuable to them. And so they're contacting Mark to get this information. Now, when they contact Mark, that's the initial response. You know, they're coming to us and we're helping them with this information. But we're also retargeting and remarketing to the prospect because, as we know, many buyers and sellers, when they first raise their hand, they may not be ready to buy or sell today. It might be 2 weeks from now, 3 months from now. So the marketing is really the key here to creating a massive amount of business. And I think most of you would agree that you're a good agent, right? You're good when you're in front of buyers and sellers. You're knowledgeable. You're good with people. You work hard. You've got their best interest in mind. The issue is you just don't have enough of them, right? So imagine the world's best baseball player. I mean, you're a really good baseball player. And if you could just get up to bat, you would hit the ball out of the park, but you're not getting enough at bats. That's where the Craig Proctor system really helps you. We help you get more at bats. Like, take a look at Mark. He's the same guy. He's in the same marketplace. He started off by cold calling and asking for referrals and doing all the traditional things. And now that he has good marketing in place, all Mark can think about is, how many homes could I sell if I had the manpower in the team? I have plenty of at-bats. In fact, Mark has so many at-bats, he can't even get to them all. So think about that. Mark's issue is a very different problem than most realtors are dealing with. Most realtors are like, I can't find the business. Mark's problem is, I can't find enough good agents to go out to the business, right? The business is there. So, Mark, give us your best contact information again.
It's Mark Jensen, JENSEN.ca, or you can call me directly, 416-721-8002.
Yeah, or you could just go Google him, right? You could find him that way. But we'll have the contact information below. Okay, now let's say you like this because you're still watching it. So I'm going to assume you like it because you're still here. And we're like half an hour into this. If you're not in Mark's area and you want to do this, okay, you're where Mark was a few years ago. You're where Mark was back in 2018, 2019, and you've heard of this Craig Proctor guy, and you start watching my stuff wherever you're watching it right now. And what you probably notice once you start watching my stuff, you're pixeled, and you start to see my content over and over again, whether you want to or not. Let me teach you how to do that in your business. Let's teach you initially, how can we help you get an overflow of business so you can get into the position where Mark's at, where you can't even handle all the incoming buyers and sellers, and you get to a point where you want to grow your team. Now, it's a free call with my team and I if you want to discuss how this would work for you. Okay, it's not a big sales pitch. You can hang up at any time, by the way. All you have to do is go to proctorcall.com. So my name right there, proctorcall.com. And we're going to ask you a couple questions when you get there. Because what are we talking about? I need to know a little bit about you and where you are in your business, what your issues are, what your team looks like, whether you have one, your production. And so now I know where you are, and we're going to have a discussion about where you want to go. So let's say that you're selling 25 homes a year and it's a struggle, but you'd like to sell 50. Well, why do you want to sell 50 homes? You'll tell me, well, if I sold 50 homes, I could, I could maybe travel more, whatever your thing is, your reason. You got to have a reason why you want to go from, say, 25 to 50. Then our conversation is going to turn to, so why aren't you already doing 50? You're doing 20, 25 right now. You want to do 50. Why aren't you doing what you want to do? Now, here's what you're going to do. You're going to start to tell me all the reasons why you can't do what you want to do. Right? On one hand, you're going to say, boy, I'm doing 20, 25, but I'd like to do 50. And I'm going to turn it around and say, well, why aren't you doing 50? And you're going to tell me all the reasons why, all the obstacles, all the reasons why. I am going to help you go around those obstacles. I am not only going to show you how you can easily do 50 with the Craig Proctor system, I'll show you how you could do 100 or 150. And if you're already at 150, I'll show you how to do 3 or 4 or 500. Now, this may seem like pie in the sky. You may be skeptical. Maybe you've done coaching before, but you're not going to find a coach like me, folks. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the comments below if you know any other real estate coaches or coaches with a real estate system like mine. Any real estate coaches that have sold over 10,000 homes. Let me know in the comments below if you know any other real estate coaches that sold over 10,000 homes. Because if they exist, I'd like to know who they are. And if they do exist, if they sold more homes than me, you should probably get coaching from them. But here's the issue. You're not going to find any other coach that sold more real estate than me. You'll find a whole bunch of coaches that have never sold real estate. You'll find a whole bunch of real estate coaches that are failed real estate agents. And they thought, well, since I can't sell real estate, maybe I'll be a coach. You see, the interesting thing is the qualifications today to be a coach is you have to be able to spell the word coach. If you can spell the word coach, you can be a coach, right? Because there is no qualification. So be careful. Maybe you've had coaching before, right? Maybe you think they're all the same. Maybe you've had a poor experience. All we're saying is set your skepticism aside. Skepticism's healthy. You heard Mark today. I was kind of 1 foot in, nibbling around the edges. Something was holding me back, but he overcame his skepticism. What would be the downside to booking a call with either Mark or myself? The call is $0. If you don't like what you hear, you can hang up at any time. No one's going to come and get you. I promise you this. If you talk to us and you don't like it after 5 minutes or whatever, we're not going to follow up with you. We're not going to call you. We got too many people coming now looking for help. Go to proctorcall.com, set a time and a day, and let's have a conversation about your business, okay? And if you like what you hear, we can talk about what the next step is, right? This is in steps. The first step is on you. You're watching this for a reason. You're still here. Go to proctorcall.com, book your appointment, and all good things start with a conversation. Mark, I want to thank you for, first of all, for coming back to me years ago and taking a chance, really. I mean, you booked a ticket and you flew to California to a conference, and you didn't really know at that point what this was all about. But that decision to book that airline ticket and come to my conference, I think we can honestly say not only changed your business, it changed your life.
100%.
So we have to understand that decisions change lives. I mean, how many of you have said, I do, or I won't, right? Decisions change lives. So I think we're here on this training, perhaps for this reason here today, that I've been able to reach some of you that are curious about me, you know a little bit about me, and you'd like to know some more. We're making it really easy for you to do that. So I want to thank everybody for watching this and watching all my content. I want to thank Mark for taking a chance on himself and the Craig Proctor system. And it's great to see how well rewarded he's been. And I'm here to help Mark become more successful and keep growing his business. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So I want to thank everybody for watching. We're going to wrap it up. Mark, thanks again for doing this.
Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, everybody. This is Craig Proctor.